Good evening. I have missed you guys. Happy Thursday. It's a thirsty Thursday. It feels weird. We haven't done a Wine Wednesday in a while. I am here this evening with Trombetta Wines, and I'm going to wait a moment. Oh, she's already on. Let me invite winemaker Erica to join us. Hi, Erica. Hello, this worked.
Oh, yes.
Yay! Sorry, I'm like a minute late. I did a
Oh.
new setup with what do you call it? My tripod. And of course, like the clip came unclipped and I'm like, ah. But yeah, each one of these Zooms, we get a little more advanced with the technology and stuff.
I know. My poor husband, he had to actually put my phone in the tripod for me because it would only hold it like panorama style and not
Exactly.
up and down. And he's like, just give me the phone.
Yeah, like I basically broke something, but it's working right now, so I just
Perfect.
cannot bump the tripod. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, good afternoon. This is so exciting. I'm so glad we got to do this. I feel like, things have sort of been on hold, and I took some time off from Instagram, social media, all that. So it does feel nice to sort of be back and reconnecting.
Yes, totally. I agree. The last few weeks have been pretty intense for all of us. So
yeah,
it's kind of nice. Yeah,
important stuff has been happening. And,
exactly.
I think we've all sat back and supported it. But I don't know about you. I could use a glass or four of wine.
Or 4 bottles, since that's what we're tasting today.
I do have all of the wines lined up behind us. And I have the most
Perfect.
beautiful flowers. My best friend Kat spoiled me for my birthday.
Oh,
And
awesome.
I'm just going to show you the flowers because they're that stunning.
Oh, those are gorgeous. I love the color scheme. Oh, and the peonies.
So, and it looks so pretty with your wines right in front of them.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So, well, it looks like we have people popping in and joining. Maybe we should, start with the rosé, and then I'd love to just talk about your background and get an intro going, and go from there.
Of course. No, it sounds great.
I pre-poured everything. I don't know if you did.
Perfect. No, I just have it all open. I actually have all of my wines right here next to me on the table. So I was like, okay, let me make sure I don't.
Well, you're the winemaker. You don't need to pre-pour anything. I'm sure you could just open it with your eyes shut. I'm not that organized during these live moments.
Yeah, after a full day in the cellar, it's a little hard sometimes to be like, oh, here, let me handle a knife and a corkscrew.
Yeah, I know. I've had some of these. I opened a bottle of Dolcetta. Am I saying it right? And first of all, I do not believe in wax on bottles. All of you wineries, do not put wax on bottles. It's pretty, but it's so difficult to get off. I think I lost a finger. I definitely cut a finger. So yeah. So I've gotten really good. I mean, we had 4 bottles, so I did the Coravin tonight because I don't want to open them and have anything go to waste with your beautiful wines.
Yeah, no, thank you. I know I was this close to getting a Coravin here in time, but unfortunately I was out of cartridges, so I was like, they're not going to show up in time.
I know. I keep a stash. I think I have 4 or 5 cartridges. But
that's smart.
Oh, wow. Well, good. Well, let's start with the rosé, and then I would love for you to sort of, share a little bit about Trombetta Wines, your background. How'd you get into winemaking? Just all of that, please.
Yeah, everything. Just the whole. Here, let me move this so my head's not completely cut off. Little tripod.
I know, it's funny that Instagram splits the screen.
Yeah, right. So, well, first up, here's my little rosé.
Oh, beautiful.
Rosé of Pinot Noir. Yeah, so really fun bottle. You've got, it's a little bit better to see the packaging with yours because you've got the cork still in, but so this is actually our second vintage of rosé we've ever made. Okay. And the backstory of how we made rosé was, so my parents are home winemakers. That's how we got started in all of this. I was raised in Forestville, so right in the heart of the Russian River Valley. And one of the wines that we're actually going to taste, I'll go more into the backstory of how we got here. But so my dad every year for Thanksgiving makes rosé, rosé and turkey.
No big deal. My dad does too. Just, in Chicago during cold November, not.
Well, because there's Pinot grapes on the property, so it's perfect and it's easy and it's low maintenance, and then we have it bottled in time for the family. And I don't know about you, but at least for my family, a lot of wine is needed to get through. We all love each other. But
I'm usually the one picking all the wine for my family because otherwise I don't like what people serve.
That's a very good call because we have made that decision poorly a few times in the past.
Yeah.
Like thankfully everyone likes good wine, but you know, every once in a while, like a few bottles of Barefoot show up and you're like, okay, no.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. I used to like that when I was like 22 and they'd have it at junior league parties. I thought it was so cool. And then I was like, actually, there's better stuff.
No, exactly. And so in 18, I had been telling my parents I really thought we need to add a rosé to our program. We have a lot of Pinot and Chardonnay. And so our first vintage of rosé actually was 2 barrels, 41 cases in 2018 of direct press from my dad's property. From
Perfect.
The grapes right in front of my parents' house.
Thanksgiving rosé.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so in 2019, we decided to make a little bit more because people really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, we can't plant more vines on my dad's property. So we did the direct press from his grapes. That's why you get such great color on it.
It's much more, it's softer in the glass. Like in the bottle, I thought it was like more of like a salmon red. And then I poured it and I'm like, oh my God, it's the softest, prettiest peach. It almost matches my shirt.
Oh yeah. No, it's color coordinating, you know.
Yeah.
And so we actually added in a little bit of bleed from our Gap's Crown Petaluma Gap vineyard, our other Sonoma Coast vineyard that we sourced from.
Let me give a visual of the Gap's Crown because we will be having this Pinot shortly.
Yes.
And I love Gap's Crown. I actually did an Instagram live with Ryan Pritchard from Three Sticks, and we were talking about Gap's Crown, and I was like, I need to get there, so I'm just going to show up at Gap's Crown.
No, you should. It's a gorgeous vineyard.
Their vineyard manager is awesome, so I'm sure I could go do a little visit. But
Rob is the man.
Yeah, Rob. I can hang out with you, with Ryan, with Bob. Like, you know, we'll just have a meetup at the Gap's Crown.
I'm all for it. On the top block, which we pull a little bit of fruit from what I call the nosebleed section, like way up at the top. But they have the utmost top block, which I believe actually goes to Three Sticks, and they have a picnic table right there. So
perfect.
Yeah, you can go out there.
We'll get an email chain plan and we'll get these plans. Because if every winemaker brought their bottle of Gap's Crown, like we could do a Pinot, a Chardonnay, rosé. I mean, that's a party.
I fully agree, and that's a party that I will gladly camp out in the vineyard for.
Perfect. It's a done deal.
Yes, I'm all for this. Sorry, Ryan, we just offered you up.
I mean, he told me that I could come, and you guys you're already there buying fruit, so it seems like very logical.
Exactly.
Well, this is so nice and light. I accidentally took a sip before we started.
So did I.
You can't put a beautiful rosé in front of me on a hot day and expect me to not try it.
I know. And that's, you know, everyone always talks about rosé being the perfect summer drink, and I really just agree with that. Especially, like, what's so pretty about this one to me is I get so much of that kind of cantaloupe, honeydew melon, but there's still some other really pretty fresh red fruit.
Yeah.
And I think it's just special because it is a mix of vineyards, but we still only did 120 cases of this. So it's still pretty small production. And it does have my dad's estate fruit on it as well. So, you know, there's a little bit of the home winemaking past and an ode to the Gap's Crown, which was the Pinot that got us started with Trombetta family wines.
Yeah.
And just kind of a really nice little voyage of everything Pinot related in this glass. Yeah. So it's really
speaking
fun.
of Gap's Crown, some of my loyal followers are suggesting a camping adventure. Christian, I like what you're thinking. Yes, we can maybe do glamping at Gap's Crown, although Rob might say no to that. That might hurt the fruit, but we can.
Rob
you don't ask, you don't get.
Exactly. I can pretty much say I know that he would be open to picnicking for sure.
Yeah. Camping, it might be a little borderline.
Yeah, just because, well, the other thing is it's really hard to get bathrooms up there when they're harvesting because of how steep the vineyard is. So while there are flat vineyards, I mean, the elevation goes from 400 feet to about 950. So as you can imagine, it's really steep plateau, really steep plateau.
Well, and let's be honest, I'm not really a glamper.
It's okay. I sleep in my truck during harvest enough as it is that I don't go camp. Oh yeah. Sometimes you need to take a little 20-minute breather in the parking lot.
I thought you meant like overnight.
Not
just go home.
That's happened a few times because one of the facilities I used to make wine at was about 30 minutes from my house, and driving back roads, I would work in Sebastopol when I lived in Healdsburg, and driving East Side Road at 2:00 in the morning is a hard no-go.
Yeah.
So I would just crash out in my truck for a few hours,
Yeah.
or sleep in the office on my inflatable like lounge chair thing. So
that leads to another question I have. So obviously, you know, you're making wine at Trombetta. Can you give us a little bit about your background? I know you have a very well polished pedigree. So tell us all about it.
Oh, thank you. No, so I graduated from Fresno State with my degree in enology in 2010. My mentor is Paul Hobbs. That's how I got into winemaking. My mother worked for Paul Hobbs for a number of years, so that's where that relationship was established. And after I graduated, I went down and worked for him in Argentina at Viña Cobos in Mendoza, and then I came home and the same vintage, you know, 2011, went and worked in Napa at Rudd. And so I did 2 vintages in 1 year because that was a great idea.
Wow. Oh, yeah. I was like, how did you do that? Oh, in each,
southern, northern hemispheres. And then after that, I was helping my family and kind of learning from Paul to make the Trombetta family wines. I took over as winemaker in 2015 from Trombetta family. Okay. And then in 16, I also was the winemaker for another facility in Sebastopol called Furthermore Wines, where I left in 2018, and then I now consult for Fendler Vineyards, which is based out of Petaluma Gap, Stress Vines, which has fruit from Annapolis, Alexander Valley, Howell Mountain in Napa.
We talked about Howell Mountain when we first met. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It gets me excited every time.
I know. I'm really excited. We're bottling that cab for the first time in August. So
maybe you can bring that to the picnic at Gap's Crown just to throw a little Cabernet in there.
I'm all for it. Yes. Whoop.
Oh, there goes the tripod.
There goes the tripod. This is what happens. There we go. I think I made it a little more stable this time. Then I also make wine for O'Connell Vineyards, which is also Russian River, Grayton area based. And I also work full-time as an enologist at Cirque for Michael Brown now. So I'm
I love Michael.
He's amazing. The team at Cirque is absolutely phenomenal, and I love those people.
Sylvie, Sarah, they're so amazing. And Chev, are you working on the Chev project too?
Yes. So it's Brown Family Wines, and it takes both Chev and Cirque under the umbrella, which is great. We actually just did a little photo magic today for the Chev release, which is going to be awesome. So that's really exciting.
I tried Chev. I had it at World of Pinot, like a week before the world shut down for COVID, and it was great. I mean, obviously, it's from Michael, you know?
Yeah.
Well, wow. So you get to work on some amazing projects in addition to Trombetta. That's very cool.
Yes, it's absolutely amazing, and I mean, I definitely feel very lucky, and I think part of that was education, having the right people get me into the industry, but also even more than that, just it was one of those put your head down, work really hard, and just don't stop.
I was gonna say, I mean, you also do, you know, you have to like pursue like, oh, I want to work for another brand, I want to hustle, I want to, you know, work
exactly.
And also you're also the Petaluma Wine Growers Association. Aren't you also president of that?
Yes. So this will be my second year as president of the Petaluma Gap Wine Growers Alliance, which...
Overachiever, you.
Don't mind me. I swear I have a life outside of wine. Not really.
And didn't you recently get married too?
Yes, I did. It's actually going to be our 1 year anniversary. Yes, as you can see, our little like engagement photo. This was our wedding guest book. We just had people sign our picture. But yeah, it's actually going to be our 1 year anniversary in about 2 weeks. And now that restaurants are opening back up again, I've already made my reservation at Palate because...
Ooh, I just had Palate Saturday. Love Dustin and that food. Yes. So good.
Dustin.
I snuck up to Forestville.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I didn't realize you guys were there. We should have connected. My extended family, I had a rental house, and they've been very sweet to invite me up for a few weekends.
Oh, so, awesome. No,
yeah,
that's
so I like got out of... I'm calling San Francisco, you know, the wild, wild west. It's we're on lockdown here. We're still wearing masks when we leave the house. It's very, very conservative, you know.
No, definitely. Yeah, and it has been kind of the same way up here. I mean, you have to wear masks to go into any establishment, which totally all for it and supportive. You know, we just started working back together as a full team at the cellar at Cirque probably a few weeks ago. Yeah. So it was definitely, I mean, it was obviously it was stressful for everyone. Everyone was on edge, but I mean, it kind of messes with your head a bit when you're in this winery facility by yourself, because we're all trying to like distance and just switch
I actually
shifts.
biked by the Cirque, and I know you guys are working on a renovation right now. And it was a Saturday at like 7:30. So otherwise, I probably would have stopped by and been like, "Hey guys," although nothing's open, so that wouldn't have worked out so well. But
Yeah.
no, it's weird. I mean, even working at home, it's like today at like 2:30, I was like, I just need to get out, and I just like went to the dog park, and I just was like, I have to leave the house because I knew we had this, and like, you sort of like hit a wall of like.
No, definitely. My husband
How many
works from
Zooms
home.
you can do.
Yeah, exactly. You can only see people over a phone or over a computer screen so many times until you finally just go, okay, I need a real person. I'm going to hug the first person I see, and then they're going to freak out. It's going to be great. This is going to be fun. It's going to be okay, guys.
Wow, we've already used a third of our time. We might need to start on this Chardonnay. I knew we'd just be gabbing. That's how fun these are. You just like catch up and talk wine and shop.
Oh, yes.
Which Chardonnay? I guessed Sonoma first.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Four Brothers, Sonoma Mountain for sure.
Okay. I'm so good at reading winemakers' minds.
Well,
I'm assuming it's a little leaner than the Russian River.
It is, and it's very. So this Chardonnay is really fun because it's what I call my un-Chardonnay Chardonnay, and I love Sonoma Mountain. Sonoma Mountain is just this magical site for me. I mean, obviously, Sonoma Mountain touches Sonoma Mountain, Petaluma Gap, Bennett Valley. It's an amazing region. And because of my background with Paul Hobbs, I fell in love with the Richard Dinner Vineyard. So I always knew if I ever made, it's fabulous. It's definitely one of my favorite Chardonnays that he makes. Okay. And so ingrained in my head as very early on, I always knew if I ever make a Chardonnay, I'm making one from Sonoma Mountain. And fun story about this Chardonnay is, Mike Sullivan from Bonovia?
Yes.
So the Four Brothers is his parents' vineyard, and he's the eldest of the Four Brothers. And Patrick Sullivan, his little brother, is who I worked for at Rudd. Patrick and my mother met when he worked at Paul Hobbs, and so I then got a relationship with Patrick, and we worked together on and off for a number of years, and so he then said, we have some extra Chardonnay. Would you like to make some? And
so is Patrick a grower or a winemaker like Mike as well?
He's a winemaker. He was on the cab side of things for a long time. He was at Rudd, Spring Mountain, and now he actually has his own label, Gray Stack, which focuses on Bennett Valley and Sonoma Mountain fruit, and mostly from this vineyard. So, but it's really fun watching the kind of rivalry between Patrick and Michael, because
that's so funny. Well, I'm hopefully doing one of these with Michael and Bonovia in July.
Ooh, awesome.
We're chit-chatting. So I'll tell Michael, I wonder if he makes a Chardonnay from this vineyard too.
He does. It's his Sonoma Mountain Chardonnay.
Okay, that would be really fun.
Yeah, so it's, so I just love this vineyard. And like I said, it's kind of my un-Chardonnay Chardonnay. And the reason I say that is you smell it and you don't instantly think Chardonnay characteristics. Like
it's a little leaner, but it still has that nice, it's hard to say it's lean and rich, but it is. It's really measured and balanced. And I assume you say it because it's people that are I don't like, which by the way, when people say I don't like Chardonnay, and I'm like, give it a chance.
Yes.
I can't talk because I say that about a lot of foods. And my friends are like, try it. And then I'm like, it has weird texture. But anyway, yes, I agree. This is a beautiful, un-Chardonnay?
Yeah, my un-Chardonnay Chardonnay. And but I completely agree with you.
Or just un-Chardonnay?
Un-Chardonnay. I make all of my Chardonnays the exact same way. They're all barrel fermented, 25% new French oak, and the rest is neutral. And it sits in barrels for about 8 to 10 months on the lees, stirred every 10 days. So you don't get, it goes through full malolactic fermentation, but you don't get the butter because of the lees contact. So that lees contact.
What kind of barrels?
So it's kind of, I use a little hodgepodge of coopers because I like different characteristics from each of them. The best quote I ever heard from a friend was, oak is a great spice to have in your cooking. Yeah. So I use Demi, which I absolutely love, as white barrel ferment barrels.
So that's French.
Yes. But they're all pretty much French coopers.
That's what I was getting at. French. I mean, it's so subtle that I wouldn't guess this is American oak.
Exact. No, I mean, American oak has beautiful applications for bigger reds, in my opinion, but for my style of wine that I'm trying to go for, I look for more nuance. So I use, like, Demi is really well known for mid-palate, in my opinion, when it comes to their wines or their barrels. Same with Orion, Sori, and Cadu. Those are the ones I really love to use as like a mid-palate enhancer that kind of elevates the fruit and the aromatics.
So let's talk about that mid-palate. And I'm wondering, anybody that is tasting with us, please like give a little comment if you're following along on this palate conversation. This is, I mean, I think people think this is hysterical. Like when my friends listen to me talk wine, I think they're like, okay, like she's speaking another language. Yes. So mid-palate, what do you mean by that, Erica?
So, and it's actually really funny you say that, because I've actually started taking a lot of my tasting notes from what Michael says about wine, Michael Brown, but it's the way it hits your mouth, where it hits your mouth. So it comes in and it hits, think of it like the way it coats your tongue. So for me, for the mid palate, it's hitting like right here on the tongue, fully across the mouth, and then stays pretty wide through the back. But then it finishes well. There's still the acid that runs down the middle of the tongue. But for me, mid palate is like, it's like the difference between creme brulee and creme fraiche, right?
The moment you said creme brulee, I knew I was going to like where this was going for.
Yeah, I relate everything to food too. And it's, you know, and also back to your quote about Chardonnay, I always say, when people tell me that they don't like Chardonnay, I say that you've just had the wrong one.
Oh, Chardonnay, I love that one. Yeah.
Chardonnay, in my opinion, has the widest spectrum out of any varietal, because you can do unoaked, you can do super oaked, you can do really light and straightforward, you know, more the Chablis style in Burgundy, where it's much more mineral and SO2 driven.
I like Chardonnays, and I'm like thinking it's a Sauvignon Blanc because it's so mineral. So we have a question from Christian, who's another one of my regular viewers. He's hooked on these Instagram lives and learning about wine. And what should he know? Christian, exactly that. Like there is a wide spectrum. And, you know, especially if you go into the coastals, I mean, I feel like, do you want to explain like the cool climate and why like a coastal Chardonnay would be like less big than like bigger, you know, Russian Chardonnay we're going to have next?
Cooler climate Chardonnays, especially coastal, they have a longer growing season because it gets warm for a small period during the day with the sunshine hours, but then cools way down at night and in the morning. So you are getting a longer ripening season, which then means, so to put it this way, sugar goes up, acid goes down. And the job as a winemaker is to find the balance between those two spots on the graph that are going to make the best wine. You know, and it comes down to their style, but for me, it's very vineyard driven. Each vineyard has a different graph of, sometimes sugar goes like this and the acid goes like that, which is Gap's Crown, that it holds on to acid like no one's business. Or this vineyard, which is Sonoma Mountain, where the sugar kind of goes like this and it ripens really slowly and it doesn't need to be as ripe, and the acid kind of goes like that. So I'm able to pick it at a lower brick because the acid,
because it hits that sweet spot sooner.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So where the sugar and acid meet, and with cooler climates, you're able to retain that acid while getting a really beautiful ripeness developed in the skins. It's like the difference between green hothouse tomatoes and your neighbor's heirloom tomatoes that they grow in their backyard that do really well in the sun. Because you're going to get more flavor development. I think you're definitely from Sonoma, because I don't really know what a green something tomato is, but I'm just nodding. Like, I've seen it at restaurants, but I don't know how they grow different, but okay. No, I mean, like, it's like okay,
a Granny Smith apple versus a Fiji or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, for a hothouse tomato, like, think of fast food tomatoes. They don't have a lot of flavor. They're kind of
they're the worst. They have that like white texture inside.
Right, exactly. There's not a lot to them because they grow them in greenhouses year round so they can keep the supply going. Whereas something that's grown really, you know, in small, concentrated, very focused manner that had the type to ripen is going to taste better. So it comes down to farming. It always comes down to farming. And our job as winemakers is to find the best ripeness of that vineyard and then to make it into the best wine that that vineyard can make.
So someone that isn't a Chardonnay person, like Christian, for example, he's asking, what does he look for? What do you think he should describe to a somm when we go back to restaurants? I'm not a Chardonnay drinker, but I want to try something that's Chardonnay that tastes like this.
Well, I guess the question would come down to what kind of white wines do you like? What kind of food do you like? Because do you want something that, are you anti-butter? Do you want something more
I think people that don't like Chardonnay are probably anti-butter, because I think the myth is that Chardonnays are so big and so buttery and round,
Yes.
and I don't want to use a round butterball, but a brand that sort of sounds like that. It gives other Chardonnays a
Yes.
bad rep.
No, I completely agree. And that was kind of the joke I used to make when I was at school in Fresno, was that the Fresno palate really loves to be able to dunk their lobster in their wine glass instead.
That does sound delicious. Butter, Chardonnay, boom.
Yeah, exactly. And so what I would say is tell them you want a Chardonnay that's more acid driven, cooler climate, and something that is light to medium bodied on the palate. Because you don't want to, like I said, if you don't like the big, buttery, rich Chardonnays, which is fine, you might not also like the really acidic, straightforward, lighter Chardonnays. So
well, and they might like an old world, like maybe they just want like a Burgundian that's a little less. Typically, I mean, it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but New World, you know, it's just a little bit more in your face, and it's like, I mean, I'm a California girl through and through, so I drink California all the time, and Old World is actually my weakness. I need to incorporate more Old World into my palate. But no, you guys are like, I feel like Old World Chardonnay is a little bit less Chardonnay-like. Wouldn't you agree?
No, I completely agree. And I think that what the Old World, so it's really hard growing up in the Russian River. Once again, I know, right?
You had rosé made at Thanksgiving. I'm so jealous.
But so my dad being a home winemaker, and we'll get into it when we taste the other Chardonnay. But so being in Russian River in the 80s and 90s, his favorite Chardonnay was Kistler. Kistler is beautiful, but Kistler 90s Chardonnay is big Russian River Chardonnay in your face. There it is. And it is gorgeous for that style, but that is not me. And so my point was that it's just kind of like California style got a bad rap for a while, just being very big and in your face. Yeah. And I think that people who look at Chardonnay and look at, I'm making a wine that is, you know, food friendly and well balanced, and it's not trying to be so much a style as it is just looking at how can I take this fruit and make something amazing out of it. I think that's where Old World and New World style find a nice balance.
Sorry, my tripod is fine. My Sonos just decided to turn music on. So.
No worries. If you hear anything in the background here, it's my dog. So,
well, speaking of the other Chardonnay, we've hit the halfway mark, and your Chardonnay was a huge hit.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my gosh, I might be opening that one tonight. I Corbin them all, and then it's like,
which one do I want for dinner? Yes, exactly.
So we're gonna do the Russian River Chardonnay. I will be Vanna White and show everybody the beautiful
Oh, thank you. So this is where the story kind of really comes to a head with the Indindoli. So my parents met at Hewlett Packard. They both worked at the Fountain Grove campus, which is where my dad still to this day works for the third iteration of Hewlett Packard split-offs.
Wow.
Now Keysight. And there was a man who has since retired from Hewlett Packard named Carmine Indindoli, and he got this group of, sorry Dad, I love you, super nerdy engineers together to come down to his property, and he lives right off of Vine Hill School Road, which, you know, I'm sure you're familiar with the area, but for everyone else, that's where Martin Ray backs the property. Joseph Swan's vineyards are right there.
I just rode by Martin Ray. I think on the same ride where I passed CERT. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So it's an amazing site. That is, to me, the heart of the Russian River Valley right there. That's where so many amazing vineyards are. I mean, like, Ritchie Vineyard is only, you know, so far away as the crow flies. It's basically across River Road. So it's really a hub for amazing Russian River fruit. And Carmine taught all of these engineers how to make wine. So
Carmine that works with your dad at Hewlett Packard.
Yes.
Where does Carmine also work?
Nowhere. He is Italian via Brooklyn, and it was kind of a family tradition for winemaking. So when he moved out here, he bought a beautiful piece of property. They planted, I mean, this is the 80s, so they planted Cabernet and Chardonnay in Russian River, and then grafted over to Pinot.
Wow. You don't hear too much Cabernet in the Russian River, at least I haven't found it.
Well, in the 80s, they didn't know what else to do because they hadn't really figured out about Pinot in too many areas yet. So, they kind of took a page out of Napa's book. And so Carmine just home winemaking. He built this cellar underneath his house out of dirt and earth, like old school Italian style with railroad ties, whole 9 yards. And so he is who ignited the passion for my parents about not just drinking wine, but winemaking. And that's how my parents then planted the vineyard at their house where I grew up, and they started being home winemakers. So Carmine is really who every time I see him, I'm like, I blame you. I blame you for all of this. This is your fault.
I mean, you have the coolest job. So I love Carmine. Thank you, Carmine.
No, he's amazing. And he actually, when he left Hewlett Packard, he then did this, he had a vineyard management company. So he would work on 5-acre and smaller little hobby and vanity vineyards, and also really small sites. And so he has Chardonnay on his property and Pinot. And this Chardonnay to me is just, it's the epitome of Russian River without being pedal to the metal. It is.
So this is from his property?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It's lovely. Yeah, I started early on this one too. So we probably should share a little bit of, tasting notes on the nose. Yes. We're covering so much ground. I just want to make sure people at home that are curious what we're tasting and smelling get that experience.
So this is my kind of like lemon curd, honeysuckle, a little bit of tropical fruit, but mostly citrus and white flower blossom aromatic. But then the mouthfeel is like this really pretty, creamy, it's definitely more lush than the Sonoma Mountain.
Yeah, definitely richer, like lemon curd on the Russian, and then like lemon and lime on the Chardonnay. Because I mean, I just have like a drop, but even just the glass smells so much more like bright. The Sonoma one, which makes with Sonoma Mountain. Yeah, which makes sense
for sure. And this Russian River Chardonnay is also, like, to give you perspective, this Russian River Chardonnay is the first one that we harvest every year. And the Sonoma Mountain is probably in the middle to end of our harvest.
So is that like early to mid-August you start with the Russian River?
Typically, actually, it's been right around, it's always like a few days before Taste Sonoma for the vineyard. So I always get so mad because I'm like,
it's usually Labor Day, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, why do you have to do a big event on Labor Day in the middle of my starting harvest?
I know.
But we usually pick it right at the end of August, beginning of September. And then the Four Brothers typically is mid to end of September. I think we picked it around like the 23rd this last year because the bricks stalled out at 23 bricks, which is totally fine. And the mouthfeel was there on the fruit. So, 23 bricks, I think we ended up with like 13.8% alcohol on it. So
23 bricks for this Russian River.
This one was 24 because Russian River just gets warmer. The Sonoma Mountain was 23. Okay. So Russian River, because it is warmer, especially like Carmine's in this kind of little banana belt where it has really pretty fog in the mornings. But then once it burns off, I mean, my husband and I were out there 2 weeks ago walking the vineyard, just looking at things. It was like 94 degrees at 4 o'clock. And I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, like one of those weekends I was up in Forestville, I think it was like Memorial Day weekend. It was like, I was at the pool at like 4 p.m. and it was like 95 degrees out. And I was like, thank God I'm at the pool and not in the city.
Right. There's some water here.
Next time I'm going to have to swing by the Trombetta family vineyard and, taste some rosé with your dad.
Yes. Oh my God, he would love that.
Yeah. Well, so just really quickly, you and I are talking terminology for people that might not know. Can you explain what bricks means, please?
Yes. So bricks is how we measure sugar in the grapes and in the wine. So it's technically a percentage of solids that's in solution of.
Oh wow, that is I've never heard that technical. That is a very good explanation.
Yeah. So it's how we measure the sugar content, which then tells us, you know, by chemistry standards, we can tell what the potential alcohol will be by the sugar, but it'll also tell us where it is in the ripeness cycle. Like I said, with trying to find the right sugar and the right acid, you kind of have an idea once you get to know your vineyards around what number things ripen. And it of course comes down to way more than that, like what the fruit looks like, tastes like, the texture of the skin, of the berry, how hard the pulp is. I mean, there are a lot of things we look at when we're in the vineyard.
So I went to harvest last fall actually with 3 sticks, and I was given like this task, and we had to I was counting the number of little seeds within like a bag of grapes. What the heck does that do again? Speaking of harvest and random bricks.
So the seeds, there are a few things that you can tell. One is how many seeds you have in a berry sometimes just tells you, it gives you an idea of tannin load with seed tannin. Also, you can see the ripeness of the seed, because that's something you have to think about, where in red wine, the seeds are going to sit in that solution during all of fermentation, and alcohol and heat will extract tannin. So if it's browner in color, the tannins are more ripe. If it's still really
green,
it's nowhere near as ripe. And if you...
And then will it taste more vegetal?
It's more astringency, actually. Like, think of it as you have a cup of Earl Grey tea that you let steep for way too long, like 3 hours, and you come back and taste it, and like all the taste buds on your tongue are gone, because it's just, you can't taste anything else.
I hate that when you oversteep tea.
Yes. No, I've done that before, where I'm like, oh, that's right, I left this Earl Grey on the counter, and then I come to it and I'm like, oh, this is not a good, I'm not drinking this.
I set a timer for everything in my life. Like, I'll be in the kitchen and I'll put something in the oven, I set a timer, and then it's like, otherwise if there's no timer, because you know, we get a text, or I start going on Instagram, and gosh, the Instagram, you know, you get buried in those 10 minutes of your life gone.
Oh, no, I completely agree. That's why today someone was like, do all winemakers wear an iWatch? And I'm like, this has a timer, it has a calculator, like, I can do everything on this. Yeah. My reminders are set, like, oh, that's right, I need to do this, because I will turn and look at my watch before I will read a note on the wall or my phone or whatever.
You can't miss it. I mean, I refuse to get an Apple Watch, because I'm like, I already have enough technology. I need to be able to just turn it off, except when my Sonos goes crazy and turns itself on. But yeah, I have like an old-fashioned watch, and I'm just old school with that one piece of technology in my life. That's it.
No, that makes total sense. Like, for sure. Some days I go, I love you, but I hate you. And I might take you off, and then I just never do.
Yeah. Well, gosh, I mean, I really do love both Chardonnays for different reasons. I think it's so nice when wineries like make 2 of something, but they're very different and distinct. So, you know, like, I feel like the first one, I mean, I think they would both be really good with like fish and food, but
yeah,
the first one would be very easy to drink on its own, because it's so light.
Well, and that's kind of my philosophy with winemaking in a whole, is that I don't want you to open a bottle of wine and go, that's Erica's winemaking style. I want you to open a bottle of wine and go, that's Four Brothers, that's Gap's Crown, that is Indindoli Vineyard. I really want the differences and the nuances from these sites and these vineyards to shine through, because that to me is what's so fun about working with different vineyards and AVAs, is that they're all different. So make them special in their own right.
And it gets really fun. Like, as like a wine writer and enthusiast, I love, like, I'll never forget at World of Pinot a couple years ago, they had a it was like, there was 5 wineries there. Like, Gary Pisoni was there, which was awesome. That was my first time meeting him. Anthill, 3 Sticks, and Costa Brown, I think. And we tasted a Pinot from Gap's Crown, from all of them. And it's so fun when you get to do that. Same year, same grapes, just, I mean, maybe a different block. But, yeah, so I think, I mean, I was having this conversation with my friends in Sebastopol, like, when you become a vineyard geek and like you like follow a vineyard and then you just buy those wines from different brands, it's so cool. Yes. It's so fun.
No, and it's great because you do get to see, you know, the interpretation and the art that comes from being a winemaker when you have the same vineyard, but a different, you know, a different artist or a different chef, however you want to say it, working on that fruit, because the interpretation will be different. And it's going to have the same foundation. It's just going to be you know, maybe this one has a little bit more blue and black fruit because they let it hang a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Or maybe this one has a little more acid because it was a higher elevation block. Whatever it is, it's super fun. I love doing vineyards side by sides with other wineries.
Okay, let's do that at our picnic. We have a very big agenda.
I am all for this.
Okay.
We can just make a weekend out of it.
Is Gap's Crown in Petaluma Gap? Yeah, right.
Yes. So
Just
it's
checking.
right. Yes. So it's actually right off of Petaluma Hill Road. You can see the Green Music Center from there. So if you're going Petaluma Hill Road towards Sonoma State University, you go at the light, you turn right on Roberts Road, and then right where Roberts and Leak House split, that's where Gap's Crown starts.
Oh, I'm thinking it's like way down more by like Ernie's Tin Tavern or whatever. But it's
no, it's not. It's not down there. That is more where like Griffin's Lair and Keller Estate is not too far from there.
I know where Keller is. Yeah, exactly. They're great.
No, so this is right on the like kind of the further eastern side of the Petaluma Gap, but right in the middle of the AVA. The AVA is shaped like a boomerang. So this is like kind of in the indent of the boomerang is Sonoma Mountain. And,
you know what maybe I should get for this? I should get one of those maps and like hold it up. So while we're talking about this stuff, I can guide my viewers. We've got someone who wants to join us for the glamping. Well, Claire, I feel like we might have gotten a kibosh on the glamping because we're pretty sure Rob and the people might not allow it. But
picnic we can definitely try to do.
We might be doing a picnic,
Guided hike.
Maybe what we'll do it, me and the winemakers, and maybe we like share it on IG Live. I don't know if this is like sadly open to the public as much as I want it to be. We'll ask. We'll see, guys. We will report back.
I mean, if we do one of those kind of like you have to register and like events where it's not just show up, I'm sure they'd be fine with it.
Well, I can't believe it. It's almost 5:45 and this actually kicks us off. So literally, luckily I got on 2 minutes late. So we have until like 6:02.
Perfect.
But the last time it said like 1 minute, 50 seconds and it literally kicked us off right then. So warning, I think we have 16 minutes left, but maybe that'll become 14.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say save the best for last, but we all know I have a little bit of a thing for Pinot Noir. So I'm really excited to try this. And speaking of Pinot, that's actually how I met you guys because your lovely mom reached out. You guys heard about Pinots and Plaid and you wanted to be a part of it. And I think this was last year, like right around when it happened or after it happened.
I think it was probably right after,
Yeah, and then you guys sent me the wines and I was like, yes, I love these. You will be at Pinots and Plaid 2020 and the rest is history.
No, exactly. And I mean, Pinot is what got Trombetta started. When we started in 2010, we actually started with Gap's Crown Pinot.
Oh my God, exactly. Gap's Crown!
Exactly. We were really lucky, and Paul was our consulting winemaker at the time. And so he asked my parents to taste through some barrels and talk about style of wine they liked, everything else. And they just kept coming back to the Gap's Crown Pinot. Yeah. And I mean, it's gorgeous, so it makes sense. Mm-hmm. So we started in 2010 with 500 cases of Gap's Crown, and I mean this vineyard I'm never letting go.
How much are you guys making now?
We make about 1,200 cases, but that is between 2 Pinots, 4 Chardonnays, and a Rosé. Okay. So when you think about it, our largest lot is the Sonoma Coast Pinot at about 400 cases, and our smallest lot can be anywhere from 50 to 100 cases, either Chardonnay or Pinot.
Yeah, so these are really like collector's items. So people that are Pinot and Chardonnay aficionados need to get in on this. So actually, speaking of which, I have a notepad here to make sure I don't forget. We are doing a Zoom tasting, you guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a version of this, but it's going to be a little bit more intimate and curated. So those of you that sign up, it's free to sign up. I mean, obviously, it would be more fun if you buy the wines and then you could taste with us. But even if you don't want to buy the wines and you want to join and watch me and Erica because we're so entertaining and adorable, we would love to have you. So that is July 11th.
Yes.
I will be sharing more information on my social media. Trombetta will too. But basically, you can go to Trombetta Wines website, buy the wines. And I think there's a special like shipping and JSF code. It's all over both of our social media channels. So just take a peek and you'll find it. Or obviously message us and we'll share more information. But I'm excited. We get to do this again in like 3 or 4 weeks.
I know. It's going to be super fun.
Be here before we know it.
Oh, yes. I know. It seems like while time seems like it's going slowly, it's also now June. I don't know where this year went, but
I know. I just had my birthday yesterday, and I don't know if you get my newsletter. If not, I'll add you to it. I was joking that I celebrate my birthday the whole month.
No, that's awesome. Birthday months are the best, and happy belated birthday. That is
thank you.
Yes.
So there'll be more celebrations, but it's just fun, you know, and I feel like right now we all need a little something to cheer us up, and you know, even just like a day of normalcy, and then we go back to reality where it's not quite as normal for a little bit.
Exactly. I completely agree. We went out to dinner actually right the day the restaurants opened for outdoor patio seating.
Where'd you go?
We went to Monty's, one of the Starks Group restaurants in Montgomery Village.
That one.
Yeah, so they're great. That one was kind of a sleeper for me until I moved out to Eastern Santa Rosa. I had never gone to Monty's.
Yeah.
And we went, and I was just like, I can order a cocktail from a human, and I'm on a patio in a chair, and there are people around me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we're all distanced very greatly. They had tables like 15 feet apart.
See, we don't have tables yet. San Francisco's opening outdoor dining, I think Friday. Is that tomorrow?
Ooh, that'll be exciting.
I need to go to dinner Saturday night. It was going to be Monday. Anyway, it moved up, which is so exciting. So we are catching up with Sonoma County.
Yay! No, that's amazing. I mean, I completely understand why San Francisco waited. You guys have many more people living there in close quarters than we do out here. But yeah, we all take it for granted how amazing it is just sitting down at a restaurant.
I can't wait to get my nails done. Like, just things like that. You know, I actually, well, I don't want to give anything away, but somebody already commented. My hairstylist might have done a masked haircut for my birthday. Like, I literally am the luckiest girl ever. I got a haircut for my birthday.
Oh, you are so lucky.
In the backyard with masks. She actually wore a double mask. Anyway, I'm not going to say who, but she's amazing.
No,
so
that's
you
awesome.
think my hair looks fresh. That's why. 3 months later.
I am so jealous. One of my friends goes, "Oh, hey, did you get your hair done recently?" And I'm like, "Does it look like I got my hair done recently?"
Hey, it looks great. Whatever you did with the tripod, you have it at the perfect angle. I don't dye my hair, so that's the one saving grace. It's just sort of all color.
Very lucky. I get some highlights because if I go in the sun, I turn blonde, so I just preemptively get a few highlights going. But I'm also just like, I need a trim badly.
Well, I know, COVID problems. Well, let's talk about this beautiful Pinot. I went ahead, obviously, and sipped it, and it's lovely.
Yes.
Oh, let me get the bottle and show everybody. So everybody knows this whole conversation's been leading up to this Gaps Crown Pinot. I love your label. It's just really simple, but also like elegant and classy.
Yes. So Trombetta is my mother's maiden name. So that's where we came up with the name for the wine brand. Okay. Just kind of as an ode to, you know, the Italian side, food friendliness, and just enjoying wine with family and friends.
I hear your Pinot is fabulous with pizza.
It is. We do a lot of, my mother has a really big pizza oven at the house. So we do a lot of friends coming over and tasting our wine and pizza parties. That's kind of one of our favorite things to do.
I actually think, well, I know I did. I was supposed to go the first week of April, and then we got locked out. Like, I had this amazing weekend visiting you guys and staying in Benovia and like all my favorite things, and then COVID happened. So hopefully, when things go back to normal, I can still come up for pizza.
Well, actually, they just opened up tasting rooms for everybody on tomorrow. Is when you don't have to have food in a tasting room. So hopefully that means that they open up like Airbnbs and hotels for tourism and everything in the next few weeks.
I heard a friend of mine's friend stayed at H2 in Healdsburg. So I think some of the hotels H2 or Harmon House. Anyway, some of them are slowly opening up.
No, that would be amazing because I mean, poor Sonoma County, like obviously the whole world, but we've had fire, flood, COVID, like, and we're a tourist destination. We need people.
Well,
yes, my mother.
The pizza oven is ready. There's my invitation.
There you go.
Yay!
Yes.
I want to come in July.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, God, does that pizza oven travel? Because that would be amazing for Pinots and Plaid. So I do want to make a quick little thing about Pinots and Plaid. So unfortunately, Pinots and Plaid is not going to happen in October. I just think it's going to be a little too soon. 400 to 500 people, well, this year was going to be 600, are not going to want to be in a room together. We're just not there yet. But I've got some stuff cooking, and I'm thinking in February I'm probably going to do smaller groups. So, you know, on a Saturday afternoon there might be like a 1 to 3:30 ticket, and then a 4 to 6:30 ticket, and maybe there'll be 10 wineries there instead of 35.
Yeah.
And maybe there'll be 75 guests there instead of 500. So that's sort of what I'm working on, and I'd actually love your guys' feedback, those of you watching this. I'm thinking of possibly doing it by region. So maybe like one Saturday would be, say, for example, Russian River. Another Saturday would be Sonoma County.
Yep.
I invited my Santa Barbara friends this year, so I don't know if you know Paul Lato, Pence,
Yep.
Got some really great guys. And, you know, maybe do a Santa Barbara day, and also some central Pisoni Vineyards is coming. Like,
yes.
all these people that I love in Southern California. So yeah, so that's sort of what I'm working on. You guys will obviously be there. We just have to figure out which day, and I have to figure out a date. But yeah, and I think everybody's sort of like craving events. So I'm working on it. It's just, I also don't want to get ahead of it because I don't want to throw an event and have people not feel comfortable and not want to come.
No, totally fair. And I think that's a great idea to do more breakout kind of session tastings versus doing one big thing. Because yeah, like when we were at World of Pinot in March, it was the last real event before the world shut down, and it was creepy. I mean, I'm going to say it right now.
I know.
Like, watching people.
I don't think I saw you. I feel like
I was right next. I think you did in like.
Were you next to Sylvie?
Yes, I was. I was right next to.
Oh my God, that row! I got so overwhelmed. I was like, oh my God. Who do I, like, I think I just missed you by accident, because I literally was.
There was just too many people in that, like, one row. And
yeah. Well, I got delayed. I saw Michael at Chev, and I was like, I got to try the Chev. And then I was like, okay, if I've already had these wines, I did have lately my strategy at events is like, if I know I love a wine, I don't necessarily need to taste it again in an event, because then you like get palate fatigue. So I try to like say hi, schmooze, and then try a new wine that I've never had.
Exactly. No, definitely. But it was just weird being in a room with even that many people. Everyone was like, hi.
Oh my God. People were like trying to hug me, and I'm like, no, I'm not hugging. And then like someone else would air kiss me, and I'd be like, or I'd like do the cheek, and then I was like, shit, I forgot. Like, cause you know, as you drink more wine, you're like loosening up your things. I mean, World of Pinot was that's always a fabulous event. I love it.
A great event, yes.
So yeah, I mean, thank God we had that, because it'll like that amount of excitement for 3 days sort of got me through maybe my first month of shelter in place.
I completely agree. Yeah, and I mean, you can't really complain about being at the Ritz-Carlton in Santa Barbara.
I mean, I don't know anyone that was there and got sick, so hopefully everybody was safe and sound.
No, definitely. I haven't heard of a single friend or winemaker or anyone else who attended who had any issues, so that's the good news.
Yeah. Well, God bless this Pinot. I might have already drank almost all of it. Let's talk about what we're smelling on the nose. It's lovely.
So
a little bit of spice I'm smelling, which I love.
No, definitely. Gaps to me is very like pomegranate, blackberry, dark fruit.
A little bit of tannin. Is there stem inclusion on here?
No, and so this is what's so fun about Petaluma Gap and Gap's Crown specifically, is that, and we kind of touched on it earlier when we were talking about ripeness in the vineyard, what we look for, but because this is higher elevation and it's in the middle of the Petaluma Gap, the wind as it hits the vineyard actually has evolved the grapes to develop a thicker skin, which means more tannin and more color. So that's why, like, you see how dark.
Let me grab my Corbin. I need a little bit more to do this experiment.
Perfect. But, you know, you compare it to other Pinots and it looks super dark. So you're thinking, oh, wow, this is going to be some super big, rich, heavy Pinot. And it is full-bodied for sure, but it's not massive. I mean, it's still delicate with acid. It just has a lot of color.
It's so interesting because I drink so much Pinot and it's very rare. Like, I think I realized I'm not like a super light, lean Pinot. You know, when you have a Pinot and it looks like it's been watered down, that's not my style. I love to taste the fruit. I want to taste where it's from. I mean, I'm sure I have your Sonoma Coast Pinot somewhere, but like, I'm sure that's like your version of lighter, but it still has like the beautiful fruit and the coastal aromatics.
But that to me, even that one that's lighter, it's not lighter. It's just it's just more red fruit than it is dark fruit, but it's still rich. You know what I mean?
It's so interesting because like, I feel like only like, I can only think of one Pinot I've had in the past like 3 years that was like too big. And I was like, when did they harvest these? These bricks were like, I don't know, 1 or 2 higher. I mean, and what do I know about bricks? But I was like, this tastes too big.
Yes. No, definitely. And I mean that you notice when it happens, but you also can tell with vineyards like this, you can harvest it in a pretty good spot. And like, yeah. And 15, I mean, this vintage, so obviously it's been in bottle now.
Oh yeah, this is a 15. I didn't realize how old she was.
Yeah, and so the fun thing with that is that 15 was when we had very, very low yields and harvest was a lot faster and a lot sooner, partially because of the drought and partially because of the heat that we were getting. So we had really low yields in the vineyard, which for me at Gap's Crown, I had 3 different blocks that I pulled from with 3 different clones of Pinot that were all very drastically
Ooh, which
different.
clones are in here? Let's talk clones.
828, which to me is my definition.
I don't know that one.
So 828 is, in my opinion, it is a punch in the face with a velvet glove. It is a very big clone from this. Yeah, it's
sounds
a very
right up my alley. Punch. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very rich and textured, lots of tannin, really pretty. But for me, that is like the mid palate finisher of Pinot.
Like a Pomard.
Yes, it's very similar to Pomard, just not as like Pomard has that really distinctive aromatic to it, but this has the Pomard mouthfeel.
Okay. So warning, we have 2 to 3 minutes before Instagram kicks us off.
Okay.
So I think if it's earlier, so let me just say this has been so lovely. I've loved this. We are going to be doing a Zoom again on July 11th at July 11th, 5 p.m. Pacific.
Yes.
Now feel free to keep going talking about the clones. That way if you get booted, I've said my goodbyes.
Yes, right. Then 777, which to me is like the fruit bomb. Yeah. That is where the fruit comes from. And then 115, which has a little more spice, but also a lot of fruit in it as well. So to give you an idea, we would get 3 equal parts of those blocks that then had 3 equal yields.
Oh, so it's equal, a third, all of these.
It was a third of all 3, but in 15, for the first time ever, because of the low yields in the vineyard and because of everything that happened that year with the weather, we were probably about 60% 828 and then 20 and 20, 115 and 777, just because they didn't set and there was no fruit in those blocks. So this wine
she's a beauty.
Yes, no, and it's the ageability of it. Like, you know, we are talking 5 years from harvest now. It's been in the bottle for 4.5. I mean, this thing has loads of life on it. And it's showing into its own.
I wonder what this is like in a Magnum. That would be fun to do. Maybe we should open a Magnum. Well, I don't know if people are going to all buy the Magnum. You can open a Magnum and we'll just drool while you tell us what how it tastes different than a non-Magnum.
I'm all for it. And I will say, because you brought up wax, we do wax our Magnums, but the trick, here's the trick.
Yeah.
You just put the corkscrew through the middle and pull. And as long as the wax isn't too thick, it'll crack all the way around the cork and just pull out.
That's what I learned last week during this horrible dolcetta experience where I cut my finger open. But I don't know. I'm still anti-wax, and we are getting the 1 minute 40 warning, so we'll see. Okay. But I'm just anti-wax. I gotta say it.
No, I get it.
People think it like is like. I mean, I get it. It's like fancy and luxurious, but it just makes it really hard to open.
No, I completely agree. I'm right there with you. I also have no talent when it comes to waxing Magnums. That's why we kind of stopped waxing Magnums for a while, because it's very difficult to get the right amount of wax on top where it's pretty and covered, but it's not difficult to remove the cork. Yeah. You know, like,
well, we should start an anti-wax movement, and I'm sure there's other things we could do with the wax instead.
I actually really like just the wax dots on the top, or the little wax sticks where
and
it's
you
just
like
very
rip it
little.
off.
Exactly. I love that because then you can like stamp it with your logo or whatever.
I mean, I would rip it off and like put it on like the table setting or something cool for my guests. I think I think we should think of some other solutions. And now that you're president of that Petaluma Association, maybe you can slowly funnel it out to different wine associations. You know, we'll leak it to Sonoma Vintners. I can tell Clay and Mark. And before we know it, all the wineries whose wine we drink, they won't have wax all over them.
That would be amazing because yeah, like I said, it is a pain to wax.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, this has been so much fun. Let me try to take a screenshot of us together for our photo. Right. Oh, this is not going to work. Just try. Okay, we'll do one more. Smile. Okay. And I'm going to be sharing this on my IGTV channel. So anybody that missed it, you'll see it momentarily as soon as it cuts us off. So thank you so much.